Hi guys, this is Eve from Ovaniz, and in today's tutorial we're going to be making a sitting down bride and groom fondant figure. So let's get started. So for today's tutorial, for the bride and the groom, we're going to be using approximately 50 grams of skin colored fondant, 150 grams of any color fondant, approximately 40 grams of white fondant, and approximately 130 grams of black fondant. We're going to be using Ovaniz sculpting tools, of course, and we are getting a lot of questions about the fondant and the tools that we're using in our tutorials, so I'm going to leave you the link for the best suitable tools and fondant in the description box down below. And before we get started, I would like to point out there are two kinds of fondant faces that you can attach to the sitting bride and groom that we're making today. The first one on the left is the regular cartoon-like fondant faces, and you can find the tutorial on how to make them on our channel. And the second one is the Photo to Fondant Premiere tutorial at ovaniz.com. And with this tutorial, you can learn how to sculpt your loved one fondant figures, copied from a picture, and transform them into any characters you like. So if it is your mother's, sister's, father, friend's, brother's birthday or wedding, and you would like to make them a special gift, a portrait fondant character of themselves, this is the tutorial for you. And we will talk more about it at the end of this tutorial. So stay tuned, and now let's get to sculpt. So we're going to start with the bride figure, and we're starting with the legs. So I'm taking 15 grams of skin colored fondant for each leg, and I roll it in between my hands into a long rope shape, which is thicker on one end and thinner on the other. I'm shaping out the foot. Approximately in the middle, I'm pinching out the knee. I'm placing the first leg on the foam base and bending it over. And repeating the same with the second leg. So I'm placing the second leg near the other. Cutting off the excess. And I'm putting one of the legs on top of the other. Next, I'm going to make bride's upper body. So I'm taking 80 grams of skin colored fondant, roll it in between my hands into this rounded rectangle shape. I'm pulling out the neck and shaping the shoulder area. Shape out the waistline. And now we're going to work on the chest area. So taking 2 small pieces of ivory fondant, shaping them in between my fingers into this pear shape and attaching them at the chest. I'm using my fingers and the Dresden tool to shape the chest. We are of course not working on too much of the details because it's going to be covered with the dress. Using Dresden tool to create the indentations in the neck and to emphasize the collarbone. It's not necessary of course, but it just makes it look more realistic. Next, we're going to make the top. So I'm taking a piece of white fondant, roll it out approximately 3 to 2 millimeters thick, and cutting out a long rectangle. I'm wrapping it around the upper body. After it's wrapped, I'm going to cut out the shape I want it to be. Now I'm using the rounded knife to create the shape of the top that I wanted, so I'm making some indentations and lines. Next we're going to make the arms, so I'm taking 7 grams of fondant for each arm, roll it in between my hands into this thin rope shape. Again, I'm making it a little bit thicker on the one end, thinner on the other. And I'm starting to shape the hand, thinner end.
I'm sorry for stopping this tutorial. I would just like to say that we are preparing a variety of very special videos and tutorials on a variety of fondant figures. And if you would like to be the first one to see those tutorials, please subscribe to our channel and don't forget to turn on the notification button.
And repeat the same for the second hand. So after finishing the arms, we are going to place our upper body on top of the legs. For that, I'm going to insert a skewer very gently in the middle of our upper body. As you can see, I'm making circular motions because we don't want to disform what we just made. And after I inserted the skewer, we can attach it on top of the legs. Next, I'm going to make the skirt, so I'm taking a piece of white fondant, roll it out into the large long rectangle. Afterwards, I'm cutting a small hole at the top of the rectangle, placing it over our figure. And with the Dresden tool, I'm attaching the fondant to the top. I'm cutting off the excess fondant, and if the fondant doesn't stick well, you can use a small amount of water to help it stick together. Again, I'm cutting off the extra fondant, and the small parts that still left there, I'm tucking them under the leg. I'm cutting a slit in the fondant and placing it both of the sides. For the finishing touch of the dress, I'm going to place a belt around the waistline, which is just a long piece of white fondant. And last but not least, I'm just coloring it with silver luster dust. All it's left to do is to attach the arms to the shoulders. So I'm taking the arm and very gently attaching it to the shoulder with stroking motions. You can use your fingers, you can use the Dresden tool to help you attach the fondant to the shoulder, and of course to smooth the seam line. Next, we are going to make the groom, and we are going to start with the shoes. So I'm taking two small pieces, 3 grams each of black fondant, and I'm shaping out a shoe. So first, make a small oval shape, and afterwards, using your fingers, make a shoe shape just as you see here. Next, we're going to make the legs. So I'm taking 100 grams of black fondant. Take all the line and the creases, place them all in one spot. We're going to make that the inside of our legs. And roll your piece of fondant into a long rope shape. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to make it thicker in the middle and thinner on both of the ends. Fold it in half, exactly in the middle, and pull out the pants. Using a large ball tool, I'm creating 2 indentations on the end of the pens. And I'm placing the legs near our bride and insert the skewer in the middle. Pinch out the knees. And using the pointy side of the Dresden tool, I'm creating some lines and indentations to make the pants look more realistic. Next, for the upper body, I'm taking 90 grams of any color fondant you have. You can use some scraps, you can use some colors you don't normally use, and we're going to shape it into a rounded rectangle. And the reason that we're using any color of fondant is that it's going to be covered with clothes, so it doesn't really matter what you have inside. So I'm just making this rounded rectangle, as I said, to make like a general shape of a body. And we're going to attach the neck on the top because this part is going to be visible. So you're taking a small piece of skin colored fondant and attaching it at the top using the Dresden tool. For the shirt, I'm taking a piece of white fondant, I'm rolling it out very thinly, approximately 2 to 3 millimeters thick. Cutting out a rectangle. Cutting out a small hole in the middle for the neck and placing it on top of our body. Cut off the excess fondant, and it doesn't really matter if the sides are close together because we're going to have a jacket on top. I'm only working on the details at the parts that are going to be visible. I'm going to place the body on top of the legs. So I'm very carefully, first of all, making a hole at the body using the skewer with, as usual, circular motions because I don't want to disfigure the figure. And place it on top of our leg. Very carefully, I'm tucking in the shirt as if it were tucked in the pants. For the jacket, I'm taking a piece of black fondant, again rolling it out very thinly, 3mm thick. I'm making a cut in the middle and cutting out a small hole. So I'm placing the jacket on top of the body, attaching it at the sides. I'm cutting out some black rectangles for the color of the jacket. Attaching it to the jacket. Next we're going to make the arms, so I'm taking 2 pieces of black fondant, 15 grams each, roll it out in between my hands. With the rounded ball, creating an indentation on one end for the hands. I'm attaching it to the shoulder very gently using stroking motions with Dresden tool. Next, for the hands, I'm taking 2 small pieces of our ivory fondant, creating the hands. Cutting out the fingers. I'm using some water to attach the hands to the jacket. So this is it. This is our bride and groom sitting down fondant figures or fondant cake toppers. And now for the exciting part. I'm really excited to talk about this because this is the best seller at Ovaniz.com, a premium tutorial on making a portrait character out of fondant. This is a product that changed the birthday cakes forever. Just imagine seeing your loved one's face when he sees himself on a cake. I mean, you can make your child, you can make your husband, you can make a celebrity, a wedding cake topper. You can make your child's head attached to a superhero's body. The possibilities are just endless, and this is a truly, truly amazing product. And now for the surprise, we have a special coupon for our YouTube subscribers, 10% off on all of our tutorials on our website. So all you need to do is to receive the discount is to write this code at checkout and you're all set. So thank you guys for watching. All the details are in the description box down below and we'll see you in the next video. Bye!